Hi. Okay, I haven't been here in a minute because I've been taking time for my break. My name is Espree Devora. I've been podcasting for going on 8 years, and this is about how to be the most incredible social audio moderator that you could possibly be. So excited to empower you so that you could be a magnetic person in your community. Let's go! So, what we're gonna be talking about are how to prioritize your listeners, accurately pronounce names, have an event theme, deliver on the event theme, reduce time for intros and promos, interact with the audience, moderate with compassion, show up in service of others. We're going to be touching on each of these points, how to do them, and why they are important. Are we ready? Yes. Okay, let's go. So, first, we're talking about how to prioritize your listeners. You want to always think audience first. Whether you're doing a podcast or you're doing a social audio room, it's always about how is this of value to the audience. As you're moderating, as you're hosting, you are guiding the conversation to make sure the audience is getting the most optimized value out of the conversation. That means if you're talking about something that wouldn't be of value to the audience or that isn't on topic, you gotta cut it. If someone starts talking in a social audio room and they're talking about something that is not bringing value to the audience, you gotta stop it. It's your responsibility as a moderator. So always listeners first. Second, accurately pronounce names. People have gotten in so much trouble for not accurately pronouncing names. What they'll do is somebody will feel really offended and then they'll actually go to social and post all this negative stuff like this person isn't a good person, blah, 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 all because their names weren't pronounced properly. So, whenever you see a name and you are not sure, especially in a social audio room, how to pronounce that name, you want to ask the person, how do I pronounce your name? Or you could say the name that you think it is and you say, I just want to check, am I pronouncing this correctly? Always take a beat and make sure you're pronouncing the person's name correctly, because you don't want to end up on some sort of like write-up with a bad review, right? All because you didn't pronounce somebody's name. Have an event theme. So this is a really big mistake that a lot of people make, is they kind of just go into it because they're like, oh, I just want to be on the platform, I just want to be relevant. But if you don't have an event theme, what did I tell you? Always be about the listener first. And so by creating an event theme, it tells the listeners why this should matter to them, why they should come to the space, the room, the club, whatever you want to call it. So having an event and having an event theme is extremely important so that the speakers that you pick, the guests you pick, are in alignment with the theme, the questions you ask are in alignment with the theme, and it guides you to know when to move around the conversation if something is going off theme, so everything stays really consistent about giving that value to the listeners. Number 4, are you delivering on that event theme? Okay, so remember, that's about staying consistent with the event theme throughout. Sometimes people are going to want to take you on their own journey, and as a moderator, as a host, you want to make sure that you are staying committed to the event theme that everyone signed up for. So, are you staying on track with that event theme? You want to reduce time for intros and promos. If someone is going on and on, whether it be on a podcast host or in a social audio room, reduce the time of the intro. No one wants to hear a 20-minute introduction of someone else, right? So you want to make sure, again, it's your job as the moderator, as a podcast host, to really guide the guest's conversation, guide the speaker's conversation, right? And so if they're going on and on with intros, that's not good. What I do is I'm very proactive about it. And in social audio rooms, I say, in this room, our format is we have no promos, no intros. And then that snips it right there because everybody knows that's against the group rules. And it makes it really easy for me. In a podcast, I set up what the guidelines are of the show and the production of the show, right? And so really make sure to minimize intros and promotions, because remember, audience first, listeners first. Interact with the audience, right? It's really important to interact with the audience. Even if you're doing a podcast where you don't have an audience in front of you, you still want to, I picture the mic itself is my audience. In a social audio room, call people by name, bring people up when it's time for Q&A, really acknowledge, see the audience, make them feel a part of the conversation so you're not speaking at them, you are speaking together with them. So how can you interact with the audience so that they are a part of the social audio experience? And in a podcast, what I do is I refer to the audience. I say, our listeners, I say, okay, we're all gonna wanna know. I really picture the microphone is one of my listeners listening, and I make sure that the whole conversation is about being inclusive of them. Second to last, moderate with compassion. So important to understand we are all different humans. We're all different ethnicities and backgrounds and religions and economic standings and geographies. Just because someone may say something that may not sit with you well doesn't mean they had ill intent. And just because someone may say something that makes you feel great doesn't mean it was actually great what was said. Just moderate with compassion, come from a place of curiosity and communication rather than judgment or pushing someone out. Be an inclusive host, an inclusive moderator, and really take pause and moderate from a place of compassion and understanding. Really important. Last, but the most important, show up in service of others. We are creating these social audio spaces and podcasts in order to serve our community, in order to lift someone's life, to entertain, to educate, to inform. So you want to do this in service of others. So think about it. How is this not about me, but how is this about serving my community? How is it about giving? I heard a speaker use this term this week that I really love, his name is Ben X, called passive impact. How do I create passive impact for my audience so that they too can empower those around them? And remember, your intuition is your oracle. Reach out to me on Twitter at Espree Devora or on all social at Espree Devora, or email me at espree@hey.com, and I'm happy to be a part of your journey. And remember, all links mentioned are included in the description below. Bye! See you in the next episode.